F1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long time coming, but we are back live here at SimPlay Motorsport, and we're going to bring you all the action for the GT4 Championship. My name is Dan Davis, and joining me in the commentary box for this special event is my father and excellent co-commentator and going to be your pro commentator for the season, Kelly Davis. Dad, Kelly, welcome to the commentary box. It's been a while, it's been a long time, but we're finally back. We're back racing here at SimPlay for a really exciting season ahead.
Yes, it is good to be back, Dan, and welcome to everybody. Welcome along. Combox has had a lick of paint and a new piece of carpet. It's really lovely in here. It's really comfortable. It's great to be back in the comms box, Dan.
It is indeed, and hopefully I think everyone should be able to hear you. I need people in the chat to let me know if they can or can't hear you. Yeah, that would be nice. We might have to adjust and change some settings, but we will sort that out. But nonetheless, we are back live here for the GT4 Championship. They have returned, obviously, due to the popularity of the GT4s. They have come back for the new season, but we have a completely new format, and I'm just going to double check that I can hear Kelly. Otherwise, this will be a whole waste of time. Dad's super quiet. Dad's super quiet. Okay, give me a few seconds. You can hear him though, yes? So that's the main thing. I will adjust his volume.
And that's PN on there saying he can't hear me, and Bob Brown saying super quiet.
Right, okay, I know what's going on here. So what we need to do is you need to allow your voice to be heard, basically. Right. We do need to do some PlayStation-y stuff, I'm afraid. Right. I've got to remember how to do this now.
Do you want to chit chat for a minute, and I'll have a go, see if I can work it out for myself.
Yeah, basically. I think that's what you need. Yeah, it will be in either the settings or in the party settings. Should be able to adjust it there. But yeah, like I said, while Kelly tries to figure out what's going on there, he'll have to look at his settings and go through microphone possible settings and see if his voice is allowed to be heard with streaming. Yeah, the idea of the GT4 is they're back, they've returned, but sadly it will not be 3 races this season that we'll be doing in one night. Instead, the guys have voted for a 2-race format. We are bringing back the feature and the sprint here tonight for the GT4s. The ballast, though, is returning once again. So each driver, each season will be, each race will be giving a championship ballast, so weight to slow them down. Other than the GT3s, where we have a BOP introduced, where it's a balance of performance. But for these guys, if Kieran O'Reilly, example, as he's leading the way at the minute in the session, if he wins tonight and is on top of the tables, he will then carry into the next round 40 kilos worth of ballast, and that will work its way down. Like I said, as we've got a sprint race to start off with, I believe, from what I can remember, we will have a 10-minute qualifying session for the first race. And this will be the only first qualifying session that these guys will have. Then into the main race, which is only 20 minutes, and a pit stop they must do as well. And then they'll have a little free practice session so that they can get themselves prepared and ready to go for the next qualifying session, which will only be 5 minutes. And that you think is, 5 minutes is enough. Not in these cases. It is a very, very short amount of time to get out and get one lap done pretty much. And that is that. And then they go into a feature race, which instead of an hour like the GT3s, they will have 45 minutes instead. And again, another pit stop is required. They have to stop for 25 seconds. Optional if they want to add tyres, that is an additional 5 seconds to it. But that is pretty much a rundown of this format here this season. I've got a whole new load of graphics and stuff that I'm going to be playing around with as well. And let's see how Kelly is getting on. Kelly, any luck? All a bit bad. Yes. So I'll be back in a few moments' time, guys, as I'll just try and figure this out with Kelly, and we'll be back with you momentarily with the qualifying sessions. I will leave, obviously, the race, the session on, so you guys can see what is going on. I'll be with you guys in a few. Two, one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And sorry, we should be able to hear Kelly Davis now. Kelly, can we hear you loud and clear?
Well, I'm hoping we are, Daniel, after we did a bit of PlayStation stuff. Time moving on very quickly as well. Can we have a recognition from some people in the chat just to let them know that they can hear me nice and clearly now?
Yeah, I think it is, because I can see the sound bar working its way as you're talking. But we are live, we are back, and Oh god, we managed to get things working here, ladies and gentlemen. At least it's ready for Kelly for the pro season. But yeah, just guys, let us know if you can hear Kelly loud and clear. We are here at Brands Hatch for the first race of the season, known as the British roller coaster. And just for you guys to see as well, a little overlay, loud and clear, they say. So lovely.
Thanks,
Lovely indeed.
Cheers,
so
Bob.
we've got a little overlay here of Brands Hatch, the circuit, as I've just made this lovely thing throughout the week. Brands Hatch itself is the length circuit is 2.4 miles long, or 3.9 in kilometers. It's got 11 corners, 3 to the left, 8 to the right. Pole position will start on the right, and the ACC lap record for the GT3s is a 1 minute 21.9. You will definitely not be seeing that from the pros this week. The pro car, the quickest one here is probably the BMW M4 GT3. That's the lap time it's set, and the most successful drivers around this circuit is myself and Overtaker. So that's a quick rundown of the circuit. It's got some very famous corners as well, such as Druids, Dingledale, Sheen Curve, and obviously Graham Hill Bend. But Kelly, obviously we're going to fly into this as best we can. Brands Hatch, quick rundown of the circuit, opinions on it, and how these GT4s are going to get on this tonight, because we have got a lot of drivers here tonight.
My opinion of Brands in 2 sentences: love to watch, hate to drive. It's tricky track, it's quite narrow. Certainly the GP loop is uber tricky. You go into the first or the second right-hander at the far end of the track, and it's super slippy, very fast. And again, when you get to the top of the GP circuit, it's a blind right-hander, very, very tricky. Paddock Hill Bend, again, is where do you pick your braking point into turn 1? Yeah, always action at Brands. Love it to watch, not so keen to drive.
Indeed, indeed. And obviously with the caliber of drivers we have this season, obviously you know a few of them yourselves from Pro-Am. Obviously a lot of well-known pro drivers as well. But obviously the variety of GT4 cars, obviously you've had a chance to drive the Ginetta. This circuit was probably the best suited for the Ginetta. It's tight, it's twisty, not a lot of straights. It should really suit that type of car, should it not?
I would have said so, yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities, is there? And as you've rightly said, it's known as the roller coaster, the British roller coaster of tracks. So, I mean, I'm watching Matt Duffin with Hubert right behind him, and there's no room to overtake. There's no room for error. So, yeah, it's fast and furious racing for sure. Did we race it last season? We didn't, did we?
We did not. No, it was not on the calendar. No. So it's its return.
I can't say how the Ginetta was round here, to be honest. Have we got many Ginettas this year? Yes, we have. We got a few.
Ginetta is the favourite car here as well. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on.
It's not featuring in there. Well, I say it's not featuring. Seth is the first man with the Ginetta at the moment in 6th place, 6/10 off the ultimate pace. Andrews is in the wall as well. Paddock Hill Bend. So yeah, the Ginetta not showing its colours just yet. It's clouding up front. Just been superseded by O'Reilly. So sounding like. Some favourites from last season will be towards the sharp end again this year, Dan.
Obviously, the man we need to keep an eye on is the defending champion himself, Matthew Duffin, obviously returning back once again to the GT4s in his Mercedes-Benz. Obviously, with the new rules as well, the guys, especially for the newer drivers, there's no racing line this season. The racing line has been turned off, so these guys will have to drive it as if it is real life. And for someone like Matthew Duffin, who has in the past relied on it, it's a whole new ball game for him, and obviously he's going to be looking into this season not to just develop as a driver, but also to see what he can do with that car and with the racing line off. But he is getting there. He has been practicing with it. Ones that we do need to keep an eye on is obviously Kieran O'Reilly. Last season, he was phenomenal in pro when he was here, and obviously had wheel issues and sadly had to pull out for the rest of the season. He is back, his wheel is repaired, and he's not just looking good in his GT4s, he's looking incredibly quick in the GT3s as well.
I mean the top four. Sorry, Dan. The top four, as it stands, is looking like they're straight in from last year. Really, they're 4 very quick guys. We're going to have some momentous battles this year.
We are indeed. Obviously, we look at Will Friedman returning back into the Porsche. He was the championship contender with Matthew Duffin, but due to not able to make every race, he sadly lost out just at the end. But he has returned back in his Porsche, and we'll see what he can do while Tardok has gone fastest in his Porsche, and again, a new driver, new boy stepping in. He did turn up to our Audi Fun event and won in the GT2 class and the overall class as well. So he has got pace with him as well. Jamal Clouden, a driver that you went wheel to wheel with, Kelly.
More than once, yeah. Me and Jamal went wheel to wheel more than once. I think he got fed up with seeing the back of my Ginetta, and it certainly wasn't because I was quicker than him. It was circumstances that ended up I was in front of him quite a lot, and I think he got fed up with the back of my Ginetta a few times.
Obviously, returning back in the Chevy Camaro. He's returning back in a Chevy Camaro, a bit of a beast of an he's at a moment. A bit of a beast. It's very soft. It's easy to take the curbs, but as we saw in our fun event, again, the V8 Supercar event, we saw that the Chevy Camaros could roll quite easily there. But nonetheless, he has returned back in that, and hopefully for a better season. Skunky. Skunky's back as well. He's changed car though this season. He's gone Mercedes.
Oh, has he really? Wow, he's whipped out of the Ginetta and gone for something with a bit of power down the straights. It's Skunky again. Went wheel to wheel with him a few times as he was more him trying to get past me. We had a bit of a titanic battle at Donny Park just at the last race of the season last year, and he's a contender for sure.
He is indeed, and obviously the other news that I forgot to mention as well, there is teams now in GT4, so there are teams fighting for the Constructors' Championship, and the strongest pairing from what I've seen in testing, Skunky and Will Friedman are both teammates in old school racing. That is going to be a phenomenal pairing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I hadn't realised that we were in teams as well, so hey, there's only one team for the win, but we'll talk about that later, and I try not to be too biased.
A couple other familiar faces we'll get into. Ian McGowan has returned back once again in his Mercedes-Benz, and he's going to give it another crack. We've only got a minute left of qualifying, and at the minute it is Tardok fastest. But McGowan's back again in his Mercedes. Let's see what he can do tonight. Obviously, Mercedes looking quite popular again.
And it is looking quite popular and a favoured car by many. Again, McGowan was a real contender last year. He's quick, he's feisty, definitely going to take some race wins and be in there as one of the contenders for sure.
Indeed, and just behind him is Kieran O'Reilly, who has been looking quick in the practice session. As McGowan comes to the line, he doesn't improve, nor does O'Reilly, but all these guys are getting their last laps in as well. Silth, a new driver in the Ginetta, coming in, and he looked pretty quick in the server as well with the hot stints, and we'll see what he can do in this Ginetta. Not know much about him, and he's just been pipped by the Quadrum Motorsport driver of Matt Wright, and he's back once again, and he's gone Alpine this time round. A very different car. I don't think myself, Matt, or Kelly have really had much time in it. I've had a few laps in it. I actually quite like this car. It's light, it's nimble, but it hasn't got the power like the Ginetta.
Yeah, it was on my short list. I drove it a couple of times, but couldn't quite get on with it like I could the Ginetta. But yeah, it's in the right hands. It's a great car. I've got nothing like enough time to talk about all the drivers. Got 34 drivers on the grid, Dan.
It is, yeah. I'm just obviously ranking up some of the top guys that we know, but that's just a quick rundown. And obviously, we got a new signing with Benjamin Rook signing for Team Audio Sport. I obviously had to bring him up eventually. But Ben, the youngster, he's gone.
Sorry, Dan. McGowan in the wall. Just give that Mercedes the first bashing of the evening. But yeah, sorry. Back to Ben. Part of the Team Audio Sport Young Driver Program.
He is part of the Team Young Driver Program for Team Audio Sport, and we'll see what he can do. He's currently 10th on the grid in a minute, and like I said, quite a competitive GT4 grid we have here tonight. Anyone in the KTM, not at the minute, as we hit return to garage.
KTM is a great car, but in my word, it's slow in the straights.
It is indeed. Regarding the cars that we do have here tonight, we do have a Porsche, a McLaren. We have a few Mercedes and a Chevy Camaro. We have quite a few Alpines and the Aston Martin returning once again. One BMW, one BMW that I can see, and an Audi. One Audi on the grid. So we do have a variety, but obviously it's looking like Mercedes and the Ginetta is the favoured. Aston Martin also a very favoured car as well. So Kelly, we're going into the first race. 20-minute sprint. Obviously, you raced in the 20-minute sprints for these GT4s. Obviously, these guys will be going... the last time we were flat out. This time they do have a pit stop. Just get us in the mindset of just how chaos that this category can be.
Well, remembering, Dan, that you start on cold tyres as well in the GT4s, you know, so that's a bit of a worry. You've got your warm-up lap, which you can generate heat into these tyres, but it is a worry going into turn one. Into the mindset, well, my mindset was normally I could have done better in qualifying, and, you know, normally in the middle of the pack for me, so it was kind of sussing out who was around me, and you know, you get to learn the characters around you and what they do and how they do it. So first race of the season, well, I'd be just trying to keep my nose clean, try and get into turn one through Paddock Hill Bend cleanly, really, but we're going to need some tyre warming, that's for certain sure.
We will indeed, and we'll get a poll going as well for you guys in the chat. And also, while I have this opportunity, I will show you the calendar for this season. If I pop that up now. Obviously, first things first, we start here at Brands Hatch for the first round of the season. We start in Great Britain, and we will finish in Great Britain as well. Spa-Francorchamps is the second round of the season. While we then head to America, stateside, for Indianapolis for our morning race. Then we head down under in Australia, Bathurst, Mount Panorama, always a challenge, and it's going to be a big challenge this season as well. Round 6 of the season, we head to we head to the Great Britain, round 5 of the season, we head back to the United Kingdom, where we head to Silverstone, the most iconic British circuit, and it's been a while since we've ran here, and it'd be nice to be back there at home. Round 6 of the season, we head to South Africa once again. Kyalami, a fan favourite, was voted the favourite circuit from last season. It is back once again. Round 7 is our first night race. We head to Imola, a very tricky circuit, and at night even more difficult. Round 8, we head to Germany for the Nürburgring, and then heading to Austria for the Red Bull Ring for our second and next night race of the season. We head to Britain once again, nearly a full season of British circuits, but we're just missing Snare. It is Autumn Park for the round 10 of the season, and we go stateside once again for Watkins Glen. And Donington Park has now also been appointed once every season on the calendar, as it is our home circuit. So Donington Park will either be starting the season or ending the season. What a calendar, Kelly.
Absolutely, I'm signed up for a reserve in Pro-Am, and I will be doing a couple of those. I mean, there's some great tracks there in there. Spa is a classic. Bathurst, well, we know all about the mountain. Scares me after death. It's your one of your favourites. Imola, I will be there for that one. Autumn Park, Watkins Glen is a roller coaster, and Donny, of course, as say, Donny is always a strong favourite. Matt nearly drops it on the formation lap.
Brilliant stuff. Up on the screen now is our Patreon support as well. So if you want to be a Patreon in the channel, this will allow you to reserve a race number, get priorities on events, and also track suggestions for future seasons and promos, and also your stream will be automatically shown. So have a look at that, and also have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. We'll get into them a little bit later on, as we're about to go 2 by 2 for the start of this brand new season. Kelly, prediction on race 1 winner?
Kieran O'Reilly.
He's going O'Reilly. I'm going to go Tardok. Guys, if you think otherwise, then put it in the chat. Let's see those thumbs up buttons. We're up to trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Help us get there. The GT4s are back. It is Tardok versus O'Reilly on the front row of the grid. McLaren versus Porsche, as we now wait for the green light here at Brands Hatch. And we are green and going already. We have a drive-through as we head up towards turn number 1 as the Porsche leads down into the dip. As up the inside goes Will Friedman. He looks to make the move past O'Reilly, and O'Reilly gives him the space, and Jamal Cloudon's right there as well as the leaders all work their way through turn number 1. But there's Wright. He's made contact with Friedman. I think, no, that is Skunky. They're both off, and there is absolute chaos at the hairpin.
Chaos at the back. Millington, Gary Leach was on the grass, came into the hairpin, but Millington was already round by that point, so they're trying to sort themselves out. Matt Wright, Skunky, all in there, all at the back at the moment, trying to point their cars in the right direction, let alone do anything else.
Absolute chaos for them at the top of Druids as we continue now towards the middle sector. Still leading the way is Tardot, but he has got Will Friedman in the other Porsche ready to hunt him down as the top 5 all sticking to one another. Sills just dropping off the back of this group as well as they work their way through, but the timetable is trying to update as best they can. But Jamal Cloudon still hanging in there in the Chevy Camaro. This is going to be an intense fight as everyone else works their way through. So far, less drama down the pack.
We had Sith all crossed up sideways as he was at the top of the GP circuit. They're all giving it maximum beans, but there's hardly a fag paper between the top 4 at the moment.
It is indeed, and O'Brien at the minute just struggling to keep Ramsell behind him, and Ben Rock as well just behind them. Hibbs is just on the back of them as well, and Cummings as well. McGowan's had to work his way up. Blardock is in 14th, and already we got a pitter there, as that is the Mercedes-Benz of, who was that? I can't see. Darren Bell. So he's pitted to do his drive-through instantly, yeah. But we go back to the front, and Tardok has got immense pressure from the top 5, and Will Friedman finishing off where he left off last season. He is really on the charge here.
Absolutely, and just a little bit further back, fight of the new boys, Hubert and Sith are very close company in 6th and 7th place, and they're not very far away from the leaders either, keeping good pace.
Keeping good pace indeed. Anything happened to the leaders, they're going to be back in the game, and already 1 lap done, and we are flying through this first race. But you can see there the McLaren so much stronger in a straight line than the Porsche, and O'Reilly right on the gearbox of that Porsche, or gearbox, engine, everything of that Porsche. The McLaren really hustling it, giving the Beetle a hard time.
Giving the Beetle, yeah, the good old Beetle, yeah. We love the Beetle, but it is a bit of a mission to drive, isn't that right, Dan?
It is indeed, as Tardok there just going a little bit wide. Will Friedman, this is the problem though, Kelly. Obviously the British roller coaster, it is very tricky to overtake her. Tardok has gone wide ever so slightly, and Friedman is going to have a sniff an opportunity, but he waits patiently. He is a patient driver, and he will wait for his opportunity.
And his opportunity will come his way very shortly if he can get a run down the straight and into Paddock Hill Bend. He's looking onto the outside, going to be brave to go around there. Oh, gets all squirrely and crossed up. Yeah, got squirrely and crossed up onto the grass. Not close enough to have it go into Druids, is it?
Yeah, Druids. And just as that was going on, Silth is now taking fastest lap of the race, and it's now onto the back bumper of Matthew Duffin. What else is happening down the grid? It's a little bit more spread out towards the back end of the circuit. As you see there, the Aston Martin of... I'm trying to figure out names here. It's going to be difficult, but Unsworth is up the inside of... oh, God, I can't even pronounce that.
Where are we?
The 20th and 21st. Johnson is now onto the rear wing of the Aston Martin of Aberdeen. That's it, Aberdeen, sorry.
Yeah.
So Aberdeen is on the rear of...
Dan.
Go on.
Sorry, Dan, at the front. Freeman's having a look down the inside. O'Reilly's in there as well. It's all happening at the front. It could be a change for the lead in a minute, or a crash, as O'Reilly has a look round the outside as they come up to the top of the circuit once again. And
Matthew sideways.
Cloudon right in there as well. They are very, very close. Matt Duffin's got enough trouble as well with Sith all over the back of him like a cheap suit.
Yeah, still giving him a hard time. Meanwhile, Jamal Cloudon is right on the rear wing of O'Reilly, and we know what Cloudon's like. He likes to get on with it as soon as he possibly can, and right now that Chevy Camaro is probably looking massive. But while these guys are having their moment, Tardock is off and away. O'Brien now setting faster lap on the in the Alpine, so he's working his way. As just he do that, he'd go wide at turn 1, and off he goes. He's going to be caught up by Ramsell and Ben, as Ben's not quite able to get onto the back of him. But Tardock pulling away, but Friedman starts to become under a little bit of pressure here.
Yes, indeed. So he's let Tardock get away a little bit. Probably looking in his mirrors more than he is looking forward. Now, you're quite right about that Chevy. That Chevy looks massive when it's in your rear view mirror. It looks about the whole size of the circuit, you know. So, and with Clouden in it, it's formidable for sure.
It's definitely a car and a present that probably will scare the living daylights out of you. Meanwhile, I've gone on back with Gary Clarble, who's in a little bit of a fight with the Aston Martin of Rob Smith. So they're having a good little fight. They're just ahead of this Aberdeen fight, who's just been overtaken by Johnson. So good move from him as the rest of the order works their way. Fernie, Smoky Devil, is known as, has returned back after a time away. He is back on the grid, and he's in the thick of it at the minute in his Ginetta. And a few guys opting to pit. Stephen Millington, Gary Leach, Darren Bell and Andrews all in this pit window.
Yes, indeed. I was just looking at the
Tardock's under pressure. Sorry, Kelly, Tardock has made a mistake and he's back under pressure from Friedman. Was anybody going to opt to pit, or are they going to go wheel to wheel? They're all staying out, and there goes Friedman. He's up the inside. Is he going to get it done towards turn number 1? They're side by side, Porsche versus Porsche, but here comes the McLaren. There's a lap car as well. It is all going to get messy.
Yes, indeed. Tardock tries down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Friedman's gone deep, and so that's put Tardock up the inside. He's got track position. O'Reilly's just with a swatching brief, and Clouden, Duffin and Sith all still in there as well. This is close racing tonight, Dan.
It is indeed.
Trying to stay out of the way.
He is trying to stay out of the way, but he doesn't want to go a lap down because he wants to stay in the fight because all these cars are lapping him. It is absolute chaos here. As up the inside goes O'Reilly, and now Jamal Clouden, Matthew Duffin's there, and Silth. There is 6 cars going for the win here already. And who says that GT4s are boring?
Whoever said that is very much mistaken. And if they did say it, try driving them.
Tardock once again having to defend in the fast right-hander, and they're catching Ramsell now. So this pack is very mighty. It's like a swarm of and then Friedman tapped him.
Is that what happened? I didn't see the beginning of that. But that's put O'Reilly in the lead. Clouden's coming up the inside as well. He's going to take advantage of Tardock. He can't make it work. He can't make it work.
They are all over this right now. Duffin is in it as Friedman went to the attacker, and now he's dropped to the back of the grid. A slight tap, and now it's O'Reilly leading this one.
O'Reilly indeed, and look at them just grabbing onto the back of this as well. We've got Hubert in there as well. Yeah, this is a crazy race. And still anybody's, absolutely anybody's. And remember, none of these guys have pitted yet.
No, none of these guys have pitted. Your very first pitter is of Hibbs, and he is only now getting into the far end of the circuit. O'Brien's into the pit as well, but it is now O'Reilly in the McLaren leading the way. The first time we've seen the McLaren this season. Obviously, we haven't seen it in previous seasons, but O'Reilly's making it look like it is competitive here. But pretty much the top 7 all close together. Robert Ramsell now is also working his way onto the back of him, with Ben not too far away there. So it is literally anyone's game at the minute. Cummings in 10th at the minute, and Barclock dropping down behind, he's just behind a lapped car of, I believe that is Skunky, and yeah, it's the rest of the drivers just working their way through as they're all starting to pit. But the main fight is at the front, and O'Reilly using the McLaren straight line, pulling away from Tardock.
It is, and it's difficult to watch anything else on the rest of the pack, because this battle for the lead is solely enthralling, all the way from first right down to 8th. Are all pretty much in there, so, and it's great to watch. So I have been flicking backward and forward, trying to find some other battles on track this evening. 35 drivers on track, Dan. This is madness, isn't it?
This is madness.
We should have done the Indy track.
Oh, it would have been happening.
Yeah, we can't do it on this game, but that would have been interesting, wouldn't it?
That would have been interesting indeed. O'Reilly stays out, so does Tardock, as does Duffin is in, Friedman is, and also Hilbert as well. So they're all coming in as well, and they do have a rule. They have to stay within the outside of the line, so that the line that separates the circuit to the pit lane, they have to stay within that white line confinement. But O'Reilly setting fastest lap of the race, but he is dragging Tardock with him, and Clouden's gone with him as well. Silth now a bit of clean air. Could he do anything to Matthew Duffin while he's pitted? But right now, there's no point in changing tyres. They've truly just got to go for fuel.
Absolutely, it's yeah. What's the point? The tyres will go the distance easily, and then some. We know they will. So yeah, Duffin, Friedman both stopped on their marks, spot on. So we're just waiting for them to. Who was the first pitter or the highest pitter is Hibbs, and I think they're going to be comfortably out in front of him. Duffin, Friedman. And Hubert are all away.
Yeah, they were pretty much line astern when they came in, and then line astern as they come out. Hibbs, meanwhile, is he's dragging McGowan with him, and to be fair, Hibbs isn't a million miles away. He has worked with the rest of the clear air, and just to stick with this leading group, anything can still happen here, as O'Reilly still leads the race, but he's got Tardock breathing down his neck. Cloudon's just dropped off a little bit now with this a bit freed up. Don't think the Chevy can quite keep with the pace of the guys in front.
Yep, my controller seems to be stuck again. We had some issues with me not being able to change cameras, and it seems to have happened again. And it seems to happen on Matt Duffin for some reason. How unfortunate is that? I had to listen to him in the party all last season. Now I'm stuck watching him.
Well, that's not the worst thing. So probably a handy thing to just keep an eye on his fight then. Meanwhile, O'Reilly is come up to a little bit of traffic, and Ramsel's, as Chris says, Ramsel has gone off. He's got major damage as well, so Ramsel's got damage to his car. But Tardock again sets fastest lap of the race. How is Matthew Duffin doing with the pressure of Friedman?
Well, there's plenty of pressure because Friedman is all over him. He just pulls to the outside to try and go round the outside of Matt. I think that's brave. Oh, and they touch just very, very slightly. Very slight touch at as they come into the last corner, and Friedman's down the inside. Push Matt slightly wide, put a wheel onto the grass, but Friedman's got the inside line. There's Cloudon coming out of the pits as Friedman and Duffin touch. Duffin goes round the outside on paddock bend. He's going to come across, and he does. Friedman tucks back onto the outside, looks to the inside, but he's not close enough up. Hubert in this as well with a watching brief, but Cloudon did well to get back out in front of this group.
He did indeed, and only just by the skin of his teeth. Meanwhile, Ramsel has got quite a bit of damage. He's going to get himself back out on track. And meanwhile, Hibbs, it was just behind this fight, and they're just up the road, so anything can still happen here. So Hibbs can still get himself back into this fight as the leaders, O'Reilly and now Tardock, are in, as is Silth. We'll just wait for Ben Rook, who is going to stay out and lead a lap here. Team Audio Sport will lead one lap of Brands Hatch.
That's better than they did last year.
They weren't on the grid last year.
Well, no, but they're better than the Team Audio Sport representative, myself, did last year.
Indeed. Matt Ryan, meanwhile, still obviously circulating. He is the last of the pitters, so he will probably have to pit either this lap or the next lap. But where we're riding, Matthew Duffin's gone a little bit wide there.
Yep, Friedman's going to try and go round the outside. It's going to be tricky with Matt. We know Matt can make that very, very wide, that Mercedes.
Tardock is, by the way, Tardock has jumped O'Reilly, and I think he's speeding down the pit lane. No, he's not. It looked like he was quite quick, but Tardock has cleared the O'Reilly. Here comes Cloudon. He's cleared the guys as well. So, I'm not sure what happened to O'Reilly. Yeah. So whatever happened to O'Reilly, he's lost out to Cloudon and Tardock, and now he's under pressure from Silth.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt in there, back in there as well. He has the inside line as they come down the hill to whatever that corner's called.
Graham Hill Bend.
What it's called. Graham Hill Bend, of course it is. Graham Hill Bend. Matt gets a little nudge from Riley, pushes him out slightly wide, but Silth. Yeah, it's him. Oh, it's good to be back, isn't it? Hey, it's good to be back. We've got quite the scrap on. I'm stuck on Matt Duffin. As I said, I can't change my camera view for whatever reason. But what a place to be stuck, because the action is certainly going on right here.
It is indeed, and right now Silth is leading this group. Ben has now finally pitted, the last person to pit, but it is Tardock who's leading the way. Fastest lap to his name, winning obviously the Audi event, and he's now leading the GT4 event. He's going to add another win to his name, and this will be an official win as well. Jamel Cloudon in that second place at this stage, looking quite competitive, but O'Reilly trying to undo the mistake he's done and try and get past Silth to get himself on that podium position. But a great start for Silth here, but he has got a train of cars behind him.
Absolutely, and he's doing really well. But Ben's still out in front for Team Audio Sport. There's a bit of a story with Ben and how he came to be with us here at SimPlay Motorsport. But I'll tell you all about that probably on Pro Night. So if you want to know that story, you can tune in for that. But he was doing well. He's come into the pits now to take his pit stop.
And he's dropped in behind Hibbs and McGowan. Meanwhile, O'Reilly's up the inside of Silth, but he's got too much curb in the rear end. Does not like it. And I'll try and look for another fight while this is going on, because it's not just them that's fighting. Everyone else actually is pretty spread out. So your main fight at the minute, the 1-1-4, has got a stop-and-go penalty to serve. That is Unsworth. He has to serve that. And we got a Ginetta.
Matt and Hubert have come together. Hubert tried to go up the inside as they moved onto the GP circuit and just gave Matt a tap round, which has put Friedman in front of him. Hubert has given him the place back, or Matt's having the place back. But there was certainly handbags there.
Indeed, there was. And again, like I said, that's allowed Hibbs just to start to creep onto the back of Herbert once again. So these guys just behind, although they're not really in the fight, they've worked together. Hibbs, McGowan and Rook have worked together to work themselves back onto the leading trio, or leading pack, and top 10 could still possibly win this race.
Yes, it's possible. I think, as I said, McGowan and Hibbs have done really, really well, because they were right in the thick of it the first couple of laps and well down the order. So they've done well to come through. Yeah, interesting strategies, done them well. I think anybody who ends up in the top 10 tonight, you've got to take your hat off to, because, you know, what a huge grid.
It is indeed. And McGowan's down the inside of Hibbs. Job done. Bit of a touring car S-line, beautifully done there, and Hibbs, no real way to attack. He looks to try and attack up towards Druids, but he can't do so. But McGowan's gone deep, and that's going to allow Hibbs back through. It gives him a shove as well, and Ben is going to try and capitalise on McGowan going off as well. McGowan comes back on circuit, but Ben giving him the space just enough so he can carry on. Meanwhile, Silth is still under immense pressure from O'Reilly.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm still stuck watching Matt Duffin, but I could just see in the background they're three abreast as they come down, as they come up to the first part of the GP circuit, and incredibly close indeed.
We are on board with Matthew Duffin. Already, he may be struggling a little bit, but still good performance nonetheless, returning back this season in the Mercedes-Benz, and he's obviously looking to try and keep the pressure on the other guys to make a mistake. The Audi of, not sure who that is, the Audi of Wheel, just getting out of the way there of the leading trio, as now Matthew Duffin is now coming through the pack as well. But O'Reilly can't find a way past on Silth at the minute. Cloudon's got no answer for Tardock, who is leading this race, and possibly 2 laps to go. A great start for him already, taking pole, and he's leading this race, and he's got fastest lap at the minute. He's just got to hang in there now, Kelly.
Absolutely, and yeah, he's got a comfortable lead. We've got 2 minutes left of the race. Yeah, as you say, just got to keep it all neat and tidy and bring it home.
As you look there, McGowan's now got past Hibbs once again, but defends the inside of the hairpin of Druids. But no room for Hibbs there as they now clear the lapped car of the Audi. But as they work their way down towards Graham Hill Bend, it is still this 3-way fight that is your closest at the minute. No real other fights at the moment. Barclock onto the back of Gasby in 13th place. Gasby. Gary Gasby.
That's right. Gasby, yeah, something like that.
It's something like that.
If we pronounce any names wrong, yeah, sorry.
I have already said in the Discord that if I do pronounce it wrong, then feel free to message me privately. I'm Unorthodox16. Dan Davis in the Discord. Feel free to just drop me a message and give me the pronunciation, and I will try and get it as best I can. Meanwhile, Matthew Duffin still under massive pressure from Hubert, but McGowan's pulled away from Hibbs here, and Ben Rock, who's not quite able to stick with him at the minute, but Duffin still under some immense pressure from the Chevy Camaro.
Yes, indeed, and Camaro looking good behind him. Matt seems to be sucking up the pressure. He's not new to this pressure at all. You know, it's not his first rodeo, so he's all good. But Hubert looking very racy in that Camaro.
He is indeed. Meanwhile, Friedman has now caught O'Reilly, and O'Reilly is having to defend up at Druids, and no way through for him there. And Matthew Duffin still holding on to that position. Everyone else pretty much line astern at this stage. But Tordok, to start the season off on pole, he's just got to get through these last couple of corners here, and he is on his way to get the first win of the season here in the Porsche. And obviously, the more points they gain here, the championship ballast will take into effect at Spa, and I think that's where it's really going to hurt them with the straight lines and heavy. So these GT4s will struggle at Spa for straight line.
Yes.
Chris in the chat, good racing. It has been phenomenal racing to watch,
yes.
And this is why I was out of breath pretty much all season.
Yeah, what a great start to the season. If it's like this all the way through, it's going to be absolutely thrilling, and you know, let's hope it is on all the levels.
Indeed, as Tardok and his team MSA Racing are going to come into the final sector now. Towards the final corner he comes, doing it for Porsche, the number 200. He exits the final corner. Tardok wins the first sprint here at SimPlay Motorsport in the GT4 class. Congratulations to him. He wins here at Brands Hatch. Jamal Clouden coming home for a solid P2. Silth in the end defending off O'Reilly and Friedman. Duffin is going to hang in there for a P6. I think he was happy if he got in the top 10. And through the line he goes. Huber, a great drive as well. McGowan in 8th. Hibbs in 9th. Benrock in 10th, completing the top 10 with O'Brien in 11th. Cummings is going to finish in 12th. Gasby is going to finish in 13th ahead of Barclock, with Johnson in that 15th place position. Ramsell followed by Aberdeen as well. What a dramatic first race there, Kelly. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, it was some great racing, and as I said, it's great to be back. And how this channel has progressed in the last 5 years or so, Dan, since we joined it. The competition now is so fierce. So many good drivers, you know, so many committed drivers. It makes for such great racing.
It does indeed. As the rest of the guys right crossing the line, Betterson crossing the line, Myers, Leach coming towards the line as well. Tipping 25th, Skunky, 25th with Tipping in 26th. Millington in 27th, Wheel in 28th, Darren Bell 29th. John Andrews is at the moment, he's going to finish in 30th. Gary Carble in 31st, Marsden in 32nd, and Unsworth in 33rd, and both of them will retire. So that will be a qualifying ban for the next race. But Tardog is your race winner. We'll be back in a few moments' time as we will get into the 5-minute qualifying session. It is do or die in there. But myself and Kelly will be back.